Hi everyone, welcome to the Monkey Patching Podcast, where we go bananas about all things physical world, AI generated art, and more. My name is Murillo. I'm joined by my friend Bart. Hey Bart.
Hey Mila, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing fine as well, doing fine as well. Quite busy these days with the new startup that we launched. Top of
Yeah,
mind. Everybody check it out. Top of mind.
there we go. I don't know if it's been a little while since we recorded last. I don't know if you had a website back then, but you definitely do have one now, right?
Yeah, we do have. I'm not sure if we had it back then. Actually, everything is a few weeks old, but we're moving very quickly.
Maybe people that didn't listen last time. What is the top of mind in one
So we're
liner?
building I want to say an application, but it's more than an application. But we're building basically a system for people that take both a lot of try to store a lot of knowledge, try to store a lot of information, and also are very active with their network. Think about salespeople, think about investors, think about business leaders. Like you want to be aware of. I'm having a talk with Marilo. He's saying that he's gonna run a marathon in 2 months. Like it would be nice if you get remembered in 2 months. Marilo is running this marathon. Like that you have this context top of mind. And what we're basically building is a system that allows you to very with a very low friction ingest any kind of information, and then it basically structures it for you and surfaces it for you at the right time.
Yeah, very cool. And you're also looking for. You said you're busy, right? Maybe a small shout out, right? Like you're also looking for people to join the team.
Yes, we have we have a total team of 4 people now, of which 2 people are technical, and that's not enough. So we're looking for a new software engineer, and next to that, also a marketing engineer.
Okay. So if anyone is interested, yeah.
Thanks for this advertisement space.
Well, we gotta pay the podcast bill somehow, in part. Just so yeah, very cool. So you've been busy with I guess just sorting anything out, and also you have some users already, no? Like test users.
Yeah, we went live with test users. I think actually last time we recorded, I said we were gonna go live with test users, and we went live. Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Anything you
think
want
we're
to share
now.
there?
This is the second week. I think are positive overall. I think the biggest challenge that we have actually is that our backend is basically an AI agent. So you ingest a lot of knowledge, and this agent can do a lot for you because like it has access to a lot of different tools. Like it can structure your knowledge, but it also can use a lot of external sources. And because of all these combination of tools that it has access to, it's hard to get an overview of what are actually all the features that this app has. And we
Mm,
need to make sure that we surface like the right features to the right users, if that makes sense.
I see what you're saying. So basically, maybe to make sure I understand, you're saying like this person would leverage a lot of this kind of feature, so we need to make sure that this person knows that this feature is there. But because there's so much that
Exactly,
it
yeah.
does, maybe it's not easy for the person to know that they can just, I don't know,
Well, I
use this.
think what we should, so what our agent now does is like I could say like for example at the end of the week give me a summary of all the new information that I collected about people, about organizations this week, or I can say at the beginning of the week give me an overview of which new invites I have on in upcoming meetings and build a profile on them. Or I can do, I think Apple is a very nice company. Send me an update or if there's any daily news on them. Like all of these are all of these are possible today already, but they're not like enable this. Like there's not a click button. Like you need to say it to the application. And I think what we need to do is like to see like what are the features that 80% likes and to automatically enable it for them.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, very cool. Very cool. So again, if someone is interested, it's an AI product looking for AI native engineers, right? AI
But
enabled as well. So I
yeah,
think if you want to work on AI and if you want to work with AI, I think this is a cool opportunity, right?
very cool, very cool. Thank you, Marilla.
Yeah, no. Like I said, we'll adjust the advertisement fees. I'll send it to you later. But no, very cool. I've also been playing more with AI, but not so much Cloud Code, which I was doing before, but also with co-work as well. For
Yeah.
I have some let's say less technical work, like preparing proposals or slides or all these things on my daily job, and I've been using it more. And actually, I've been super. We were discussing a bit before we started recording. Not only I think the output is better because I feel like I have a sparring partner that can brainstorm with me and is much faster, and he maybe thinks of things that I didn't think. I think it's also faster because I spend a lot of time like preparing slides, making sure this like the box is the same size, creating text boxes, whatever. And also, it's more fun. So I feel like I spend time doing these things, and so it's been a
So
interesting.
co-work is a bit like a workflow that you need to get into, but once you're into it, like it really makes you more efficient, right?
Yeah, really, it does. And I think I was even reflecting to myself because co-work, like you give access to a directory, right? So in some ways, it kind of feels like Cloud Code. Like when you go in a terminal and you go there and you
Yeah.
talk to it and you create and you can edit files and then you can go and you change it again and then you can read the files and edit, like iterate on this. But Cloud Co-work feels, I don't know, it feels like it fits better with the non-technical work somehow. Even though I feel
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
I could do the same things with Cloud Code, right? So I was also reflecting a bit like, why is it just a UX thing? Is it just because there's an app instead of the terminal? What is this, right? So
I think it's also a bit primed to desktop work. I think it has some like built-in skills around, for example, generating
yeah,
PowerPoint presentations, stuff like that, which you don't by
yeah,
default have in Cloud Code, right?
yeah, for sure. But I'm also we also use like Granola, and I also have like a Granola MCP, and then sometimes we have meetings to discuss a bit what should be the format of the proposal, and then you can just hook up. I don't know. It just yeah. I think maybe it's just maybe there's also some prompting that makes it better. There's built-in skills maybe, but yeah. And also, have you used the Cloud projects as well?
But that's the one that exists already for a long time, right?
Yeah, so like they had like you can have projects and you can have you can spin from projects to co-work as well. But then to me, I was a bit like, what's the difference between them? And I did some quick search, and they were saying like projects is more so you have the same context throughout, and then
Exactly. Yeah.
co-work is more for automating according to them. Like if you want to convert from one thing to another, and they interact with each other as well. So from a project, you can say do this in co-work, and then let me know when
Mm.
it's back and all these things. So I'm also giving it a try, but yeah, still need to organize myself a bit and see what works really well for me. But yeah, do
Yeah.
you use Cloud Co-work or?
I use it, but like not as a daily driver. Let's put it like that.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I actually ran out of I reached the limit with Cloud Cowork when I was using it to come up with it. So I had to wait after I don't know
But you're on the
3
pro
hours.
plan then probably.
Team plan, but yeah,
I actually like the team plan doesn't have max. I
you
realized. So
can.
I was setting up our team plan, like an Anthropic team plan for Cloud Code, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have a max plan. Like it only has a sort of the team's version of the pro plan, which is at max 5x, I think. While the max plan is 20x. So
Ah,
you basically need to
yeah.
subscribe as an individual contributor to get the 20x plan. And I think
Yeah.
if you use this like to do AI native coding as a daily driver, you need 20x. Otherwise, you're gonna run out of on your limits very soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying. So the max is but oh, interesting. So I'm looking here at the page as we were saying is so you have the pro, and then you
Yeah.
have max, and then it says you choose between 5x or 20x.
Yeah, and I think the 5x is $100 here, and if I'm not mistaken, the 20x is 180, something like that.
Ah, okay, so it says max.
Hmm.
And then if you go for the team, you have this premium seat, which is 5x, which is 100.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. Huh, interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Get to
Maybe
the
one
news.
last thing. Did you see
Yeah.
that little tidbit as well since we're talking about Claude? I think Claude also expanded the usage for Claude Code on the weekends or something like that to try to encourage people to tinker more with Claude on the weekends, I think. Did you see that? Something like that? I don't have a link for that.
No, no.
Yeah, it was like Claude, you can the weekend usage doesn't count for like because at Claude you have a session limit and then you have a weekly limit,
Okay.
right? And now they extend it on the weekends, and if you use it on the weekend, it doesn't count for a weekly limit or something like this.
I think actually in Cloud Code there was like a hint or tip rendered at some point about this.
Yeah, I
Rings a
saw.
bell, yeah.
Yeah, but I thought it was funny. Like, I mean, they're kind of encouraging people to well tinker in the weekend, right? Not work, but yeah. And also for Codex, they did something similar. They said Codex, I think it's still free. I'm not sure, but they said if you're using the app instead of the terminal, you can get 2x usage as well.
Okay, okay.
Do you use the app or use the terminal when you're coding?
Only the terminal.
Yeah, I also feel like I use the Codex app because the more usage, and I want to try Codex, but I also prefer the terminal. But I'm not too sure.
Yeah, no. I think I feel a bit limited when I use the Cloud Code. It is nice though if you're like on the road and like you can quickly create a
Ah,
PR
yeah.
for something, right?
One thing I have also used is the remote control from the terminal. You know, have you used the remote control? So it's like I sent something. I think I sent something to work on, and then I went to the gym or something, and then every once in a while it would ask like clarifications or something, or just like, yeah, it's this, it's that. Go ahead, do this, do this. I was quite happy with it as well. So cool. What do we have for today, Bart?
Yann LeCun is back with a $1 billion bet that AI should learn from the physical world, not just from text. It's a direct challenge to the language model consensus. The new startup, AMI, launched at a 3.5 billion valuation and aims first at industries like manufacturing, biomedicine, and robotics.
Cool. Maybe for people that never heard, or maybe they're not as much in the AI world, who is Yann LeCun? Why does it matter that it's this guy?
I think Yann LeCun is probably one of the, not sure the godfather, but at least one of the grandfathers of modern AI, I would say.
Yeah.
He is probably most known to the general public through his work at Facebook, where among other things, and I don't think he's the sole responsible, but among other things, the llama models came out of his team.
Yeah. He
So
did a lot of
very
stuff on the research
very
as well.
a
Right?
lot of
He
stuff on
worked for the
research as
reverse,
well.
like
Very
computer
foundational
vision.
in AI research.
Exactly. And maybe more recently as well, he's been he was very vocal in the beginning that he wasn't in, like, what, he had a very famous tweet, I think it was him. They said, like, I'm not interested in LLMs anymore. I'm moving on to something else. He also said a few times that he didn't think that LLMs is the path to AGI. So he's been quote unquote critical of the what's today's state of the art AI, right? Which is LLMs basically.
Well, very critical, right? Like in the last 2 years, I want to say, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And what is this now that he has a new startup? What is it about?
So his point basically is that the current architecture, like the current text-based LLM models, that they are limited in how much further that they can evolve, and because they have a lot of difficulty understanding the physical world, basically. And what they're building on, what AMI is building, AMI apparently stands for Advanced Machine Intelligence. Sounds very advanced, right?
Yeah.
But they're building a new type of model, which they call the JEPA architecture, the Joint Embedding Predictive Architecture, which, and I think we should probably do a deep dive session on this at some point, but it learns abstract representations rather than predicting like something pixel by pixel, or word by word.
I see.
How that exactly translates to an architecture, I would be interested in to do a deep dive, but I'm not so sure at this point.
Did they talk about like initial results? Like, is this, because again, to me, it's like we have LLMs, which is basically the transformer architecture, right? That exploded now, and now there are variations of this architecture, as I understand. I know that I'm not as much in the know for these latest and greatest architectures, but it took a long time to get there, right? And I feel like to introduce a new one is also, like, it's not because it's new that it's gonna be better than LLMs, right?
So they're difficult to say, but there are clearly a lot of people that believe in it. If you can raise 1 billion at this moment, right, for something that's for as far as we know, there is no real practical proof on this yet. But what they did, I think, the AMI team now consists of a lot of people of Yann LeCun's old team at Facebook, the FAIR team. And the FAIR team there actually did a lot, was focusing more on research. Like we all know Facebook AI from Llama, right? But Llama actually came from the Gen AI team, and Yann LeCun was probably involved, but he was not the one driving the Llama models. His FAIR team was, what I understand, a lot involved in more fundamental research, but also on reinforcement learning and these kind of things.
I see. I see.
How I understand it is that also there already, like he was investigating these type of newer architectures.
Okay.
He's been getting also like a lot of flack in the last year, I want to say, because he's been extremely negative for the last 2 years on the advances that quote unquote traditional LLMs can still make. But at the same time, like we're in a space where one, in the last 2 years, these traditional LLMs have become one multimodal, and two, better than he ever thought possible, probably, right? Like if we see like how good these things are in certain tasks today. And the other thing is also, like, let's be honest, like Facebook was never able to compete on LLMs.
Yeah, that's true.
The only thing why they were relevant is because they had an open weight model, and that everybody could easily use it then cheaply.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, maybe he says here, like, just did a quick search, right? 1 year ago, Yann LeCun, he said, if you're interested in human level AI, don't work on LLMs. So I think he was also saying, like, a lot of these things are marginal gains on LLMs, that, like, it's not going to be a breakthrough, it's not going to be path to AGI. Which, I mean, I can also grant that it's probably not going to be the path to AGI, but I'm not, like, AGI is also very idealistic, right? I mean, who's to say that whatever he's building now is the path to AGI?
Well,
right?
What is AGI, right?
Exactly.
It's a bit, but I think like there is also this concept that's at least he's trying a new architecture, right? Like what I think a lot of these big players, they are so heavily invested in their transformer architecture.
Yeah.
These models are so huge, it takes months and months and months to train a new model. It's also super risky to experiment with a lot of new things, right? Like, and then
True.
that's at least what he's doing. And the question is a bit like, is it the right timing, right? Like, it could be like that Yann LeCun is like this brilliant researcher and that he's very right in theory, but maybe he's wrong in timing, right? Like, and then
True. It's very
for
true.
a startup, it just means that you're wrong, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because you
yeah,
need to
yeah.
go to market at some point.
Also, I'm thinking like even well, big part of the reason why LLMs are good because they basically said fuck everyone. I'm gonna train on all your data. Do you think if he needs that level of scale in data, do you think he could do that again? Like if he needs like even if he has this new architecture, but he needs to have all the data in the internet to train it. I'm also wondering if like the first person, the first two, three, whatever, were able to get away with it because no one really knew what was right from wrong, well, right, legally speaking, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if someone tried to do the same thing now, they wouldn't be able to. So I'm also wondering, he's also at a disadvantage there, probably, no?
Fair question. What I'm wondering is like where does the majority of this data for this new Jeep architecture come from, right? Like what is this physical world understanding, right? Like is it video? Is it lidar sensor data? Is it like is it text? Is it I don't know. Like
Yeah.
is it audio, right? But it's a fair point. I still don't think the landscape's changed that much, though, right? Like, there have been some court cases, but what we're basically seeing is that a lot of the court rulings are pointing to saying that, yeah, it was more or less fair use of the copyrighted material, so there's not a major issue, and if there's a major issue, then let's settle. Like, then we're going to pay you something to stop this court case.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that landscape really has changed from a few years ago, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe one last thought that I have on this, because it's like just on this. Human level AI will come from mastering the physical world, not language. Also, even thinking from a maybe philosophical standpoint, I don't fully agree with this. I actually think that the things that make humans human, I think it's more abstract than the physical world, right? I feel like animals master the physical world, but they don't have the complex language that we do. I think it's more like the thing that makes human level intelligence human level is actually the ability of understanding complex concepts, right? And I don't think it's really tied to the physical world itself. Again, maybe I'm getting a bit too philosophical here.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, like combine that with the physical world, it's again a step forward, right?
That I agree. I feel like that I agree. But I
But maybe we need something like this to actually like go the next step in robotics as well.
that I also fully agree. I think
Because still like if you and maybe that's a good like a good explanation on where something like this might be much more valuable. Like something as simple as controlling a browser is still super shitty with an LLM. Like whatever the LLM, even the latest, which should be better, like GPT 5.4, which should be better in this, they're
yeah.
just shit at it, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like, let's take a screenshot, let's try to
Yeah.
understand it big pixel by pixel, let's move the mouse, and then let's try to click, oh shit, I was in the wrong location.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like this is clearly not performing, right? Like even though they're huge models, and so there is clearly like some mastering of whatever physical world is out there aside from there is this binary or whatever text string, right? Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
more
yeah.
to it than that.
No, that I fully agree. I do think that LLMs became popular because of text, and now they're trying to transpose that into different domains. But I'm not sure if that's the way to go. But yeah, well, let's see. I think again, I also, in the end of the day, whether it's gonna succeed or not, whether I think it's a good idea or not, or whatever I think about the guy, I also think it's good that people are trying new things. I think that's always gonna be good. Intelligent people that have resources and the mind for it. So.
And that's I think a very nice realization of Yann LeCun. One of the largest seed rounds ever, so 1 billion and a $3.5 billion pre-money valuation, but it's the largest ever for a European company. It's
Really?
headquarters is in Paris. Yeah.
He's French, I think. No, Yann LeCun.
He's French. Yeah.
And but he was. I thought he was in the U.S. actually. Well, Facebook. I thought he was in the U.S. and also I thought that he was also teaching at the University of New York. But its company is in Paris now. Maybe he moved back.
The HQ is in Paris. Yeah. Tess offices in the US, in New York, Montreal, and Singapore.
Wow, but I definitely agree that this is very good for for Europe. So yeah, we'll see. Best of luck to him, and I hope to be proven wrong as well about my, let's say, skepticism towards this. But we'll see. Next, what do we have? We have Kapwing is reflecting on an unusual AI experiment, paying artists royalties when their styles helped power generate images, a live test of whether ethical AI art can really work. The post looks back on Tess.Design from launch in May 2024 to shutdown in January 2026, with the hard lessons in between. I think this ties a bit back to what we said about the copyrights and using AI, using the data for AI and trying to be ethical about it.
Exactly.
So this is Tess.Design. They actually tried to make an ethical, artist-friendly AI marketplace, but it didn't work.
Yeah. So I'll try to summarize. I have the feeling it's been 2 weeks since I read it. But what they try to do is in somewhere in 2024, they set up a marketplace of fine-tuned stable diffusion models, fine-tuned for specific artists. And where, as an artist, you could say, you can use my data to fine-tune this stable diffusion model, and that everybody that uses that stable diffusion model via that website, I assume it's via an API or something like that, they pay a few cents, and there is some royalties going from that to the artist.
But then basically, like me as a user, I say I want this style, so I'm going to use this. So it's almost like the model becomes a proxy for the artist.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Let's say Rembrandt was still alive. He could sign an agreement with Tess.Design, it was called, huh?
Yeah.
Tess.Design, where you could say, okay, Tess.Design, you can use my works to fine tune a stable diffusion model, and the Rembrandt stable diffusion model, you can then offer on your website, and your users can then interact with it. And basically, for let's say a few cents, I don't know what it would cost, they can generate an AI-generated image using that fine-tuned stable diffusion model. And of the payments that user does to the platform, a few cents go to the original artist.
That also solves a bit the problem, because we talked in the past how if you ask ChatGPT to generate an image, it's also hard to know how much of the style came from this data or that data, and consequently from this artist, that artist. So they just kind of solved that by saying we're going to have multiple models, and each model is exclusively trained on this artist, right? And it didn't work.
It didn't work. I think there were two challenges. One, getting artists to basically sign over their rights to them. Like, you as a platform can now use my intellectual property to train something. I think that was one of the challenges that they have to basically convince artists or copyright holders in general. I think the other, and that's probably the major reason why it failed, customers don't care about it. I think there was at that point, 2024, some uncertainty on if I generate something with AI, what will happen? Do I actually own the copyright or not? And there you had these noise about court cases being done, and there was a lot of legal uncertainty. And I think over time, it's not necessarily that the legal certainty went away, but we see that leadership of major countries don't care about this, and that also means that corporations don't really need to care about this compliance, and thus that there's not really a willingness to pay for something like this.
So basically, because the country leadership, basically, they didn't necessarily care. I mean, maybe not care, but maybe it wasn't a priority.
Leadership maybe a bit I don't think the people that should care about this are actually acting towards it, right? We're not seeing a majority of court cases being ruled in favor of original copyright users. In the opposite, we're seeing a majority of legislation coming up that says a lot of these things have been fair use of copyrighted material. Right, we had the huge court case. I think it was Anthropic. Not sure if it was Anthropic actually. Where with the books on, I think a lot of them came from Anna's archive. Yeah. Where basically the ruling was
you need to buy one book.
It was okay to train on this, but what you did wrong is you didn't buy the books.
Yeah.
You torrented the books, so you just need to buy one single book, and you can do whatever you want with it, right? That's a bit like. Yeah. If I take a legal picture of a Rembrandt, I can do whatever I want with it. That's a bit what it seems to be becoming the norm. And if that becomes the norm, something like this, like Tess.Design, becomes something like you're selling ethical norms, right? The only people purchasing this is because I feel it's more honest.
Yeah. So it's really
there is probably a very small audience for this, but it's not viable, right?
Yeah, it's not.
You can live off of this.
Probably the people that would do this are the people that would just donate to artists directly, right?
Well, yeah, I think what they try to do is like they try to sell basically ethics in a marketplace where a customer doesn't care about ethics.
Yeah.
Think you can abstract it, everything that they did away to that.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, so I think what I think is interesting is that this is a concrete example that it's like everyone will complain that these things are not right and it's not ethical, but when you give people the power to do it, they don't want to do it either, right?
Well, yeah, you as a consumer, let's say you want to
Right?
generate some AI art. I mean, you're gonna pay your $20 Gemini license and just do whatever you want, right? Like you're not gonna pay for a single
Yeah,
image
indeed.
something to an artist, and that means
But I
that you're
think
gonna pay more, right? Like you're not
because
gonna
I
do that
do.
out of your own free will. Like you need a strong legal system to enforce something like that.
Yeah, no, but I do remember in the beginning, especially like there was a lot of blog posts and articles saying like this is not fair, like this is straight on the artist don't see anything. I feel like there was a lot of I felt right, of course, that there was a lot of the public opinion was like this is not right and something needs to people need to do something about it. But then and that's probably where Tess.Design came up. But the reality is like
Exactly.
it's people are very enthusiastic about it when they need to give their opinion, but when it's time to act on this, then people are not as excited, let's say, right?
You need to pay for it yourself. It's less interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I think in the end people just want the companies to pay, but it's also like yeah, this is thing, so you cannot
I
control
think for
that, right?
huge companies to pay, like you need a strong legal system that enforces it. I mean,
Yeah,
companies are owned by stakeholders, and stakeholders want short-term gains. I think it's as simple as that.
yeah, it's true, it's true, it's true.
As long as we're in a capitalistic society, that's reality simply.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like physics, right? It's just that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
You can't fight it. All right, but still. I also thought it was interesting experiment at least, and I thought it was
definitely. Yeah,
also
yeah.
very nice that they were very open about this, right? Like these are lessons learned.
Yeah, and to be clear, I hope at some point something like this does come up, that there are royalties going to original artists, original authors. That today is not the day.
Agree. So to better days, to better days. What is next?
Anthropic is trying to measure AI's effects on jobs with new occupation level datasets, moving the debate from vibes to something closer to evidence. Its early read is the tension worth watching. AI use is spreading fastest in some knowledge work tasks, but the broader employment impact is still far from settled. It's a new report from Anthropic. It's by now already a bit more than a week old.
So it's
What is it
like
about, Marilla?
completely stale, right? Like
It's
one
completely
week
still.
old is like completely different. So what I understood is basically actually looked at what is the impact of AI on the workforce, and there's a lot of theoretical, right? So basically places that AI could have an impact, but there's also some places that is already having an impact. So they did a bit of analysis and trying to I guess like basically see how the workforce is going to change or how the workforce is going to be impacted with AI going forward.
Hmm.
So actually, I think there was one image here that I thought was quite interesting. This one, I want to say. Theoretical capability. So maybe for people listening, yeah, it's like how do you call like a radar chart? It's kind of like a
Radar chart.
radar chart. And for people that don't know
That's how
what a
you call
radar,
it.
yeah, 'cause I wasn't sure that was the name. And for people that don't know what a radar chart is, and you play FIFA, at least before you had like the different skills, and then it kind of comes up like it kind of looks like a net, right? So you have a circle with a whole bunch of concentric circles, and then like there are different points that kind of reflect on how from 0 to 100, I guess, like kind of, how I don't know. Maybe just I'll just link the article if people are interested.
Yeah, yeah. I think
They
that's
can
easier.
click on it. Yeah.
It's actually quite intuitive when you watch it. What do we see on the chart?
So basically, like you see, there's different domains on the different axes, right? So management, business and finance, computer and math, architecture, engineering, and goes on, including sales, office, agriculture, even. And then there is a blue area which shows the theoretical AI coverage. And then below, smaller, there's a red area which is the observed AI coverage. So, for example, management, there's a very high theoretical AI coverage, meaning that there's a lot of stuff that management people could use AI for, but the reality is that very little people actually do it today. So I guess it's something that as time goes by and these things become more commonplace, I would expect this to expand, right? To get closer to the blue area as well. So yeah, maybe one thing like grounds maintenance, there's almost zero, right? But I think the management, business and finance, computer and math, architecture, engineering, life and social sciences, legal, arts and media, and office and admin, and sales, they all have very high theoretical AI coverage. So I guess the message here is if you're in one of those areas or part of the job is one of those areas. I think looking into AI is going to be very relevant for your job going forward, right? And of course, computer math, business and finance, legal, education, arts and media, sales and office and admin. It's already a reality today, right? So
yeah, I think what they say is that the most exposed occupations, because this is more domain, like most exposed occupations today, because they have 75% already task coverage, are computer programmers, and then closely followed by customer service reps, also recognizable, right?
yeah.
And data entry people
Like
that
people
do
that,
data entry on whatever, right?
yeah, I see what you're saying. So it's
You
like,
get in some information and you need to insert it into some systems.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
administrative tasks done in a lot of big institutions.
indeed. So it's already very relevant. Maybe we discussed a bit I think we discussed during the recording. You think that the computer science is not going to be as thriving as a career, right? Like the workforce is going to decrease quite a lot because of AI.
That sounds very pessimistic.
Right.
So I've been a bit both positive and negative about this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the negative part is I think what we will see is that your typical software engineer will become five times more efficient if they adopt these skills. I think that will take some time, like people need to pick it up, but I think they will at least become 5 times more efficient. That means that your typical engineering team suddenly can output 5 times more stuff, but your customers as a company are probably not asking for 5 times more stuff. So I think there will be like this slack effect. I think at some point that will equalize, but I think like there will be lack effect will cause some displacement. And I think also like this report, like they're saying like we cannot yet prove that there is less employment, but we see more hesitation towards hiring juniors, which is I think something that we all recognize from hearing around.
And even here in Belgium, you do hear the US you also heard a lot, but like people saying they're gonna cut their workforce with AI and they're planning to reduce the workforce. So this is also a reality,
It's a reality. So I think some of them are also overstated because they're like an explanation on why you're cutting jobs, right? Like it's
true.
So there's a lot of noise on those messaging as well. But we do hear it a lot here. That it's not all noise, right?
Yeah, but I also wonder if it's also. Well, for data, for this particular signal, I do agree with you as a general trend that this will probably happen. Like growing pains, right? So like the market will probably adjust on what is asking, but there will be some time that they're gonna be like, whoa, wow, there's like you can produce way more than what we're asking, right? And there's gonna take some time before they start asking more. But I also think that for this very particular signal, like the company saying they're gonna cut the workforce because of AI, I also wonder if there's a bit of a herd mentality. Like they see one place doing this and then people are like, okay, why are they doing this and we're not, right? If we can actually be more productive with AI, why are we not? And then there's a bit of you start discussing more these things and then there's more people that kind of jump in it, right?
Yeah, I think it's also a way to force yourself as a company to pick up these skills, of course.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you have a very big engineering team, you're in a very comfortable situation, and nobody's really like incentivized to become 5 times more efficient. Like unless you have a problem, like you suddenly have less people and you need to do it.
And maybe. So you said like, do you think everyone's gonna be 5x, or do you think the good ones are gonna be 5x? Because I'm also wondering like, I think everyone's gonna be more productive, but I'm wondering if like everyone is gonna be 2x, and then the very good ones are gonna be 5x.
I think the very good ones will be 100x.
100x.
Where we used to say the good ones are 10x engineers, I think it will be 100x engineers.
Okay.
The thing that I am positive about, I actually did a write-up on my blog the other day on this, is that I was talking a while back to a startup, and they were like they're non-technical founders, and they actually had like quite a good product market fit, but they were all like, you don't need to show the article. I'm a bit shy on this thing.
I insist.
And they were actually non-technical founders, and they were actually like they have a very strong offering, but a very limited offering. Like they had a difficult time of hooking customers for the long run, and they had a very clear pathway. Like we need to build these and these and these features to hook them in for the long run, and the offering was very strong. But their challenge was like, but it takes so much money to develop these features, and it takes so much time to develop these features. So we can only get this feature to market like 6 months from now. And I was thinking to myself, like, I think this landscape will completely change. To me, it's a bit the parallel with the online advertisement. Like online advertisement, when it didn't exist, I wanted as a like we're creating a brand now, top of mind. If I wanted to become known in, let's say, India, I had to probably go there. I need to contract people there. I need to do a lot of manual advertisement there. It's gonna take me 6 months to get to, I don't know, 10,000 people that view my brand.
Yeah.
But now with online advertisement, I can put like it's not free, right? But I can put credits towards it, and like if I can get those 10,000 views on my brand next week.
Yeah, true.
And I think that dynamic we're also going to see in software development, where software development used to be like prohibitively expensive, like you need to have very big investors to get something done. Suddenly we're in this new stage where, I mean, it's not, the cost is not zero, of course, but like it's much more doable. It's like just something that you also have to do. It's not the huge investment to get stuff started.
Yeah. I'm also wondering.
And to make that parallel, maybe that's why I'm optimistic. The advertisement market as such only grew over time. And roles shifted, right? Like the old jobs that were there, they completely evolved to what they were. But the space as such only grew. And that's a positive thing. And I hope that we see that with the tech space as well.
I see what you're saying. I think as you're saying this as well, I'm also wondering if the signal to noise is going to be different scale as well. Like you're going to have a lot of these features, a lot of these companies, a lot of these things, but because there's so much more, it's going to be harder to find the true, like the things that are valuable, the things that you should pay attention to. What is actually robust and what is not. I mean,
You mean like applications being offered, SaaS platforms being offered? That's what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that I agree with you. There is actually a nice report, maybe for next time, to go to the summary of Revenue Cat that just came out. And it actually, like the Revenue Cat is a bit of the man in the middle when it comes to integrating with the iOS payment system, but it's very big in the SaaS ecosystem. And they have a lot of data on how are subscriptions evolving, what is churn, how much more new entrants do we have in last year, which is a crazy amount. It's worth a read to get a bit of a view on how these dynamics are. Yeah, exactly.
Revenue Cat. Yeah, maybe
let's cover it next time.
We'll cover it next time for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm also like you said 6 months. Take 6 months to build something. The first time, my first thought was kind of the same as yours. Is like 6 months is like, is that right? Like if you have a team of 4 people that are efficient with AI, like I cannot think of something that, like if you know what you want, like you have a very concrete view of what you want, that probably won't take already 6 months, right? Because I think that's a big part of it. So the horizon shrinks for sure, right? So yeah, to be seen. And last but not least, Nvidia's GTC conference is shaping up as a pivot point, with Jensen Huang expected to show how CPUs and new inference chips fit alongside the company's GPU's empire. One striking forecast hangs over the story: inference could make up 75% of a 1.2 trillion AI data center market by 2030. So Nvidia, they have the GTC, which actually stands for what? It's like basically their conference, but I forgot what it stood for. But basically, the expectation I think they have coming up, the GTC, and they're expecting Nvidia to announce their first CPU chip. Right, so Nvidia historically has been it's been the market, the standard, right, the industry standard for GPUs, and now they're also entering the CPU stage, which is actually I think is Intel and ARM, I think, right, that really dominate the space. So yeah, I mean again, they are still in the AI play. Let's say they're saying that CPUs they still are, well, they say they've become the bottleneck for actually AI inference, right? So, and I read it, it's not on this article, but I think I saw somewhere else that they were even thinking of how to link this with, because they also acquired Grok with the Q, so not the AI, not the Grok AI, but also was like linking a bit how that acquisition also leads to the CPU technology, right?
My understanding of this is, well, there are two bit different things, right? Grok and the CPU accelerator. So Grok is an acquisition that they did. We actually covered it, I want to say 6 months ago. $20 billion acquisition. And what Grok does, it creates LPUs, language processing units, and they really focus on being very good at inference. So they're probably not very efficient at training, but they're very good at inference. And Jensen Huang is lookout for the future is actually that we will see more of a commoditization of inference, like on LLMs, and to see that we will see this growth of large AI factories that do inference at a very, very large scale. And that a lot of these new AI factories will use really like chips, well, focused on inference, very good at inference, like this Grok offering. Nvidia actually didn't have it, their acquisition is a bit of their answering on this offering because they didn't have it, but they do have competitors like Google's TPU, the I think it's the Cranium, I think it's called Cranium or something like that
from
by
AWS.
yeah, and there are a few. There's actually some competitors, and Nvidia did have a lot of competitors in this space before so Grok is a bit like they bought one of the competitors. But what will also see like in these very big AI factories is not just a lot of very efficient inference. What we also see is an optimization for agentic workloads, where you actually will have, for example, a lot of tool calls, a lot of agentic workloads that typically run on a CPU. And I think that
Yeah.
is a bit the reasoning why they're now saying like CPU is becoming the bottleneck, because data centers are expected to also do much more of not just inference, but also this agentic workload.
I see. So it's like there's the CPU and the Grok. It connected to the sense that it's to support AI usage, right? So Grok is more
Mm.
the model inference, and then the CPU is more for the stuff around the model inference, like tool calling or interacting with the operating system and all these different things, which according to them is
Exactly,
the
exactly. Yeah. And in terms of CPU, so they have, and I'm not too knowledgeable on the exact specs on that, but they have a CPU. It's called Grace. They launched it already, I think, I want to say 4 years ago. But now they announced a new generation. It's called Vera.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. 2021 was Grace, and now Vera is now in production. And I think I also saw somewhere that I think there are multi-year deal with Meta as well. So they
no.
also already, like you mentioned, servers and all these things, but they have a very concrete client there, right? With
Yeah. And are
you know
you hopeful that we will see a more commoditization of these LLMs?
Yes, I am. I think, well, again, I think commoditization, there are degrees to it, right? But
Mm.
I do think yes. I think I saw a report a while ago that Chinese open models are on average 6 months behind US closed source models. Maybe this will close the gap a bit. So there's that. You still need specialized infrastructure. But I also think it's a bit and maybe I'm not the best person to say it, but my impression is that research and industry, they swing a bit like this, right? Like first research shows something is possible, and then the industry makes sure it's usable, and then the industry makes sure it's usable for everyone, right?
Mm.
So I think that's also the next. I think there's a big. I don't know. I do think in the future we will see more of these things, not just in model size, like we talked about inference, but maybe models being smaller for maybe more specific tasks. I think we covered months ago the tiny models as well, the tiny recursion models. So I know there are some things that people are looking into. There's still a lot of people that want to run things more locally as well. I don't think this is a reality today. It's not going to be a reality tomorrow. But I do think it's something that people are asking themselves, right? And I think if people are asking themselves, I think people are looking into it, and I think at some point in the future it will be more commoditized. So again, I think it will, but I'm not sure how much, right? I'm not sure if you're still gonna need, like, maybe it's not closed source models, maybe more open models will do the trick. Maybe it's you don't need GPUs for doing the like racks and racks of GPUs to run inference. Maybe it's CPUs. Maybe it's these cheaper chips. But I do think something will change as well. I also
Mm.
hear that the costs for running LLMs is still super high. Like actually, there was another article that maybe we'll cover next time that they were talking about OpenAI and Anthropic and even XAI, how they're not profitable. They're not close to being profitable. So there's also appealing a bit to government subsidies in the US.
Mhm.
And the only one that is in a very luxury position is Gemini, because they can take the costs, right? They can eat up the losses because they have very good, very healthy revenue from the other sources, from the other products. So I do think to counterbalance that, even the big players are probably also looking into this. I don't know if OpenAI announced like a chip or something. I know Google has the TPU. I know Anthropic had some deals with, I think, AWS as well, or even Google as well. I think we covered as well. So I do think something will change there, but I'm not sure how it's gonna look like. How far down the commoditization spectrum are we gonna get?
Mm.
What do you think?
I'm hopeful. I think if you look at most benchmarks, Like if you, what's the big one? The artificial analysis one, for example. Like if the top models are very, very close in terms of performance. I also see it now because we have a very large test suite for the thing that we're building on a lot of different cases. And like if you compare, I don't know, Gemini 3.1 with, for example, Sonnet or Opus, and then you compare it to GLM5, there are some differences. Like the differences don't weigh against, like they're not significant enough to say that this is a 6-month difference in
Yeah.
pace of evolution to me. So I'm actually very hopeful. I think a lot of like, even if you're using your, let's say you're using Gemini as an app on your phone, if someone behind the screen switched it to Sonnet or to OpenAI or to GLM or to Kimi, I doubt that a lot of people would even notice.
I think so too. I think they would only notice when you hit a certain problem and then you hit your head against it a few times, and then if you switch models, it just kind of goes through.
Yeah, that's a thing that could happen, and I do still believe that there are some models that are better than others, but I think it's a very close race, and in that sense, I'm also hopeful in a sense that's that we will not get like these 2 or 3 very, very big, almost monopolistic players that basically rule the world, but that in the end, like there's enough competition to basically move the value that gets created to the bigger ecosystem, right? Like people are, through these things, we are able to create more value for society at large, not just for these few major players.
Yeah.
I am hopeful for that, to be honest. Like if you see the evolutions now,
Yeah.
but
I'm
let's
also
see
wondering
in
if
5 years.
I'm also wondering, for example, we talked about Claude Cowork and we talked about Claude Code a few times. Like, I think for sure the models are really good, but I also think a lot of it is the application behind it, right? Like making sure it has the right context, making sure it keeps the right things, making sure like ChatGPT or came with a codex, right? And it was just optimized for long running tasks. And I don't think it's because they have such a better model. I think it's probably because the engineering behind it that made it better for long running
Well,
tasks.
it's what people these days call the harness, right? Like you have an LLM
Yeah.
model and you have like a harness around it, whether it's Claude Code, whether it's Codex, whether it's Gemini CLI, whether it's whatever solution that you're building. It's this harness that keeps it in check, gives it direction, and I think Claude Code is a very, very, very strong harness.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I agree. Yeah. I think again, maybe one thing we talked a while ago, I think those things I think is interesting to me. Like working with in the beginning of Gen AI, I wasn't very excited because it was like prompting, and to me, prompting is like that's your job now. But I feel like if it's creating the hardness and how to make these applications work, I think that's way more exciting for me. Maybe talking about prompting, you share with me a position, right? It was a prompt. What was it? Full stack prompt engineer or something.
Full stack front engineer.
Like, I'm sorry, like if I see this, if this is my job title, I would be ashamed. Like, like this doesn't look interesting at all. Like this doesn't look interesting at all. But I feel like if it's like building an application, I mean, prompts are part of it, right? But like context, engineering the context and all these things, what are the tools, what to keep, how to make sure the context doesn't overflow, etc., etc. I think that's more. Boom. So we have. I think that's it for the main articles. Do you want to go over quickly about the 2 tidbits that we have?
I just ran out of time. It's
All
11
right.
o'clock here.
Yes.
So let's keep them for next time.
We'll keep them for next time. Alrighty, then I think this is it for today. Again, we're still cooking some changes. We've mentioned a few times, but for the listeners, things may change in the future. But something maybe we can announce, hopefully in the next weeks. Thank you, Bart. Any
Thank you, Milo.
last final words of wisdom?
Keep coding.
Coding. Okay.
Keep coding away. Burn those tokens.
Keep clotting.
Keep plotting.
Thank you. Ciao, everyone.
Ciao.